Another day, another Labour scandal. Rachel Reeves caught renting out her house without the proper paperwork.
Stupid rules, stupid council, forget it. But read my lips, no new taxes. It'll ruin the economy. We're being threatened with the scorpions so that we only get whips, and we think, aren't we lucky that we're only being ruined, we're not being both ruined and tortured.
Yes.
But this briefing is one of the great weaknesses of the Reeves regime. It has serious economic consequences because people have taken planning steps or avoided taking planning steps that have an economic consequences. So nobody's buying property at the moment because they don't know what's going to happen to SDLT and mansion taxes. People are changing their pension arrangements because they're not sure what she's going to do about pensions. This briefing, this kite-flying, has real economic consequences.
Camilla Tominey is still away. I've been sending voicemails. She doesn't reply to them. But in her place, we are joined by the great Jacob Rees-Mogg.
I can't possibly be a stand-in for Camilla. Nobody could reach those heights.
No one can fill those heels, that's for sure. How are you?
Oh, very well, thank you. And you?
I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm missing Camilla, of course. I want to ask before we get into the subjects of the day, do the Moggs mark Halloween?
My children do, yes.
They do?
Yes,
Oh, good.
And my eldest son was having a Halloween party last night. There's nothing wrong as a Catholic with marking Halloween.
Right, okay. Yeah, though some people don't like it and they do All Souls instead. And they dress as saints rather than as demons and witches.
In the medieval period, people went round asking for cakes, and in return they would pray for the souls of the dead on the eve of All Souls. It's a perfectly traditional Catholic thing to do. It may have been re-imported from America, and it may be knocking Gunpowder Night out, but nonetheless it has very good English medieval roots.
I couldn't agree more. Do children come to your door? Do they do trick-or-treating in your area?
They do.
It's a very long drive to walk up. Quite a scary long drive to walk
up.
When it's dark.
But we're a very unscary household.
Right, okay. And have you ever dressed up for Halloween?
No, I don't think I have, actually,
Right.
even as a child. Because when I was a child, it was between this medieval period and the modern age, people weren't tending to Halloween much.
It wasn't done. What frightens you?
Nothing very much.
Okay.
I mean, if you suddenly turned into a lion, I suppose that would be momentarily discombobulating. But I tend not to be.
Okay. Well, 4 more years of Labour is a pretty terrifying thought. We have to start by commenting upon Rachel Reeves's renting scandal. It turns out that the Chancellor has broken housing rules by letting out her 4-bed family home in Dulwich without a licence. Southwark Council requires you to obtain a selective licence to rent out in certain parts of the borough. Failure to do so can result in a prosecution or fine. Rachel has apologised. The PM has accepted. Is that the end of the matter?
Well, the end of the matter should be repeal these ridiculous laws that mean you require a licence
in
to let out your own property in any part of the borough. This is a completely stupid law.
Right.
It's bonkers. How are people supposed to know? Laws are meant to be easy to understand, easy to follow. A loony left-wing council makes certain selected parts of the borough at its choice, ones where you've got to get a licence. People should be free to let out their own property as they wish. They should not require licences. It's as stupid as David Lammy not being able to fish in his own pond. What this tells us is not that Labour ministers think there's one rule for them and one rule for everybody else, though they do.
Yes.
It's that we are a massively, lunatically, insanely overregulated country, and these regulations should be got rid of. And Rachel Reeves should now say, look, if even I, a good, honest Christian woman, get caught out, tripped up by some bonkers pettifogging rule by a bad council, then everybody in the country will be breaking some law.
Yeah.
This is an absolute classic example of there, but for the grace of God, go I.
Wasn't the rule introduced under Michael Gove?
It may well have been. He introduced lots of rules. Michael likes regulating things in the end. But we need a bonfire of rules. I mean, this is who knew we had this crazy rule?
Yes. Is the issue, though, hypocrisy? Because Labour would have gone after any Tory who was found doing this sort of thing when they were in office.
But I'm a Tory, so I don't go after people who make legitimate mistakes.
Right, okay. But they did go after you, and does it not sting a bit to see the Prime Minister just saying, oh, it doesn't matter, given Partygate and everything that the Tories were dragged through?
No, I think his getting free clothes for his wife is much more suspect than Rachel Reeves making a genuine administrative error. But we should look at the administrative question.
Yes.
Why are we making British people do all this rubbish? which is pure cost. You have to pay the council hundreds of pounds for a licence to let out your own property. Now, I thought an Englishman's home was his castle, and you can't let your castle out. Times are pretty tough.
Well, let's hear what the Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride has to say about this.
I think the Prime Minister needs to show some backbone. We need to have a proper investigation into exactly what has happened. This seems to be an attempt just to put this whole thing to bed with a quick exchange of letters, I believe, last night. And this was a Prime Minister who, when he came into office on the steps of Downing Street, talked about restoring the dignity and integrity of government. And we've seen a whole litany of these instances, Angela Rayner, Louise Hay, and others who have fallen well short of that standard. And if he's to stand by his word, then I think he should be concluding her position is untenable.
There you are, Shadow Chancellor of your party. Her position is untenable.
No minister's position is ever untenable if the Prime Minister wants to keep her.
Right.
It's always a matter of raw political power.
Yes.
It would go all the way back to Nicholas Ridley. If Margaret Thatcher had been stronger, he would have stayed in office. Losing ministers is a sign of prime ministerial power, not whether the minister has in fact done anything wrong.
Well, I agree, but Labour and opposition were talking about making it almost automatic that people had to go if they were found to breach things. She's not been found to breach anything because it's been decided by the top civil servant in this case that it's all okay. So she did something wrong.
Well, that's all a complete racket.
She's not broken the code.
Yeah, but that's all a complete racket.
Yeah.
The code is not what it says in the code. The code is, do you maintain the confidence of the Prime Minister?
Yes.
And then he has this fig leaf of Sir somebody. And I'm not being rude about the current one, but they're always Sir somebody.
Yeah.
Who then have to, one was Lord somebody, late Queen's private secretary. They get these panjandrums who give them a fig leaf of credibility when they say, actually, I'm politically too weak to hold on to Angela Rayner, so she's going to have to go. I'm politically strong enough to save the Chancellor because if I'm not, I've gone too.
And you mentioned Angela Rayner. Surely she's going to be annoyed that Rachel Reeves gets to stay and she had to go.
I think Angela Rayner's case was much, much worse.
Right.
I think that was so obviously pushing the tax laws as far as you could. This is a law I don't think any normal person knew existed.
Yeah, yeah.
And it shouldn't exist. It's a stupid law.
No.
And there's nothing wrong with breaking it.
No.
Now, look, I'm not encouraging law breaking, but fortunately we're not bound by Ofcom, so I suppose I could. I'm not encouraging law breaking, but people don't follow stupid laws.
Yes.
It's like the person who's been fined for not carrying a doggy bag when taking his or her dog for a walk.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Just in case the dog made a mess.
Yes.
These are crazy laws.
Yes.
And it's not reasonable for the state to expect crazy laws to be followed. They won't be. And all they mean is that all of us are at some point breaking some law. Some lunatic councils put in 10 mile an hour speed limit. People will be breaking that law because it's a stupid law. And we always are governed by consent.
Yes.
And stupid laws lose consent.
Yes.
I'm afraid stamp duty has consent.
Right. Right. The public want it.
The public accept that taxation has to be paid.
Right, okay.
And we may get to the point we're so heavily taxed that you have a tax rebellion, but we haven't got there yet.
Well, we're going to get on to tax. I mean, among the many things that are being floated by the Chancellor, one thing is a potential mansion tax. And I just drop that in because something in the Telegraph this morning caught my eye, which is that one person who have to pay it is Ed Miliband, who'd face a £15,000 bill because he lives in London property worth around 3.5 million. And the Telegraph points out that the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, lives in a property worth approximately 2.5 million. And Rachel Reeves was letting out that house for about £3,200. So it was worth quite a bit of money too. I raise this point. I mean, you're a Tory, you're all for people owning big houses, I know. But I personally feel as a more modest income voter, how on earth do socialists end up living in houses worth 3.5 million and 2.5 million pounds? Isn't there? Does it not prick their conscience that they live so well and yet they believe in inequality?
Well, nothing's too good for the workers, I think, is the argument that they would make.
Right.
I don't want to get into the politics of envy. I will admit to your viewers and listeners that I would be affected by a mansion tax to a certain degree. So I'm not an impartial commentator, and people can actually watch my views on YouTube, which I put out on my YouTube channel about this dreadful tax. But actually what Miliband shows is that a senior professional living in London who's had the house for a long time is likely to be called.
Yes.
And what we don't know
yes.
is, does Mr. Miliband have any mortgage on his property?
Yes.
And what is the net value? And this is where the whole tax falls apart, because particularly in London, many people would be at risk of being caught who actually have quite significant mortgages.
We are told that Rachel Reeves is considering a 2p rise in income tax. First of all, do you believe that?
That she's considering it, I am
Yes.
willing
Or
to believe.
is this right? Or is this something, as Mel Stride, I think, has said, that she might be saying in order that when she doesn't do it, we're relieved?
Well, I think there is an element of whips and scorpions, and we're being threatened with the scorpions so that we only get whips, and we think, aren't we lucky that we're only being ruined, we're not being both ruined and tortured.
Yes.
But this briefing is one of the great weaknesses of the Reeves regime. It has serious economic consequences because people have taken planning steps or avoided taking planning steps that have an economic consequences. So nobody's buying property at the moment because they don't know what's going to happen to SDLT and mansion taxes. People are changing their pension arrangements because they're not sure what she's going to do about pensions. This briefing, this kite-flying, has real economic consequences. We saw this particularly strongly last year when they talked the economy down for 3 months before the budget. So it's all disaster. And when the government says it's a disaster, people believe it. So I think this is really bad politics, and she will now get the blame for a 2p income tax rise, whether she does it or not.
Yes, yes. I mean, the thinking behind it that I've heard is do it now, this early in the cycle, and then the pain will be immense. The public will hate it. But in 2 or 3 years' time, her fiscal headroom will have increased, and then maybe she can spend more and be a bit more generous.
You missed out a key part of the do it early rule. It's do it early whilst you're still popular.
Well, that was within 2 days of election.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I think we will inflict more pain, it'll all be fine. Is all right, Margaret Thatcher in 1981, if you've got a clear strategy, if you know what you're trying to do. It's not all right if you're running a hand-to-mouth existence and you've made very clear promises and your popularity has completely collapsed. So no, I don't think that would work. Also, I don't think the electorate's stupid, so you can't ultimately bribe the electorate with its own money.
Yeah. And of course, they made that headline promise. It's worth listening again to an exchange that happened in Prime Minister's Questions, where Kemi Badenoch asked this question of Keir Starmer.
Last year, in its manifesto, Labour promised not to increase income tax, not to increase national insurance, and not to increase VAT. Does the Prime Minister still stand by his promises?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that the Leader of the Opposition is now finally talking about the economy. I can update the House, Mr. Speaker. Retail sales are higher than expected. Inflation is lower than expected. Growth has been upgraded this year. And, Mr. Speaker, the UK stock market is at an all-time high. The budget is on the 26th of November, and we will lay out our plans. But I can tell the House now that we will build a stronger economy, we will cut NHS waiting lists and deliver a better future for our country.
Well, Mr. Speaker. Yes. What a fascinating answer. It is not the same answer that I received when I asked exactly the same question, word for word, on the 9th of July. Then the Prime Minister replied with just one word, yes, and then he sat down with a smug grin on his face. What's changed in the past 4 months?
So Kemi's question there is, what has changed? And what has changed, obviously, is that they've judged they need more money. But if they make this U-turn, won't this be, I know things are already bad, but truly catastrophic? Because we won't raise personal taxes. It's just a solemn cast-iron guarantee. And if they do it, it'll signal that they have lost control of the finances and that they can't be trusted.
Well, it's a problem of their own making. That they savaged the public finances last year by the run-up to the budget and then raising taxes which hit business most. And therefore business has been very weak and the economy has been very weak. It is their fault. This is not global affairs, this is not extraneous affairs, this is a made in Downing Street economic problem, a fiscal crisis made in Downing Street. They then couldn't cut expenditure, which they had intended to do, and they've lashed out on pay rises. Look at the public account figures for pay rises, which I think are running to the July quarter at 8% or something. Way above inflation. So it's their largesse for their mates in the public sector. economic mismanagement, and very bad briefing.
Yeah.
If they now break their promises, it's because they have failed, not because unexpected things have happened. It's also desperately unfair, because welfare payments will go up with inflation in April, whilst thresholds will not, and we're now being told taxes may go up more. So the people who are paying for those who are receiving will be in real terms significantly worse off, whilst those who are receiving will be completely protected. It's desperately unfair on what Labour likes to call working people.
We had the economist Art Laffer on the show, who
is a brilliant man.
He's very
one of
clever.
my great heroes.
He's very clever. And what I liked about him is his ability to combine economics and philosophy and common sense. And so he made the point that just step back and think about what you do in this country. You tax work and then you reward non-working. Is that the fundamental problem? That we keep talking about systemic failures and state failure. Really, it's almost a philosophical failure that we're not thinking about what are we rewarding and what are we punishing.
We're not willing to make difficult decisions, and difficult decisions need to be made. During COVID, we came to the point where the state would take care of everybody at all times, and it can't afford to do this. And lots of people worked out that letting the state take care of them was better than taking care of themselves. So you have huge increase on people receiving benefits of one kind or another who are perfectly capable of working, and they are then dependent upon the taxpayer, the shrinking base of taxpayers. This can't go on forever. But yes, we've decided to back the people who don't want to work.
The Tories did a rally this morning at which Mel Stride and Kemi spoke.
Apparently 1 in 10 people think Rachel Reeves is doing a good job. Who are these people? I haven't met them. She promised not to put a tax on working people. Apparently farmers aren't working people. Apparently anyone who has a job isn't a working person because they put up the jobs tax, and look at what's happened. Unemployment has risen every single month since Labour came into office. It is what Labour does. Ducks quack, cows moo, Labour puts up taxes.
I noticed on the Telegraph page, which showed a video of the rally, that there was only one comment. And it was someone called Whiplashed who wrote, "No one cares." Now, I know that's a little harsh, and it was early in the morning, but it doesn't feel as though the Tory message on economics is cutting through.
Well, it's early days, so you've got to be patient. But I think it's very important that somebody is making the argument of fiscal rectitude. I think we need fiscal rectitude. And that we cannot go on spending beyond our means. Margaret Thatcher made it very successfully. We are in a situation where we need significant cuts to public expenditure, and we need a reappraisal of what government does. This is not just saying we're going to cut waste. Everyone's always trying to cut waste, and there is waste, but it's not the great answer. Productivity is part of the answer. We need the economy to grow, and why is productivity in the public sector so bad? But actually, the government needs to stop doing things.
Yeah. We also had Isabel Oakeshott on this week, and we were talking about her move to Dubai, which she's gone to for educational reasons. We were also discussing the general question of would you leave Britain because it's just become so depressing. And I've been thinking about that a lot. I've been trying to weigh up where to go. And obviously, you've got to be careful about which country you go to. I had Hungary on the list for a while because they seem to have their heads screwed on right. America, I don't think I could get a visa or anything like that. Were you ever tempted to leave?
Oh, no, I'm with Uncle Matthew and his view of abroad, which I'd better not quote because it's too politically incorrect. No, I don't want to leave. I'm not leaving Somerset, let alone leaving England.
Right.
But I understand why people are, and I love it when people say they're going to a great tax haven for education or for the sunshine or for... I mean, it's absolutely marvellous.
Yes.
Nobody goes to Dubai for anything other than the tax benefits.
I also think whenever they interview English people abroad and they say, "Why are you here?" and they say it's because England is just full of immigrants now. And I always think there's something rather amusing about that.
If you're enjoying our journalism, why not sign up to From the Editor, our free email newsletter? Start your day with the latest news and opinion, plus our bite-sized puzzles. Scan the QR code to sign up free today.